Today for the Sioux Falls area, our high temperature at 70 with a northeast wind at 15 to
Good morning, my
25.
friend, and welcome to the
Forecast
Greg
tonight,
Belfrage
low
Show. We're
temperature
just
around
getting
40
ready
with a
to
light
hit the
north
switch.
wind later this
So,
year. And then
lot
tomorrow,
to
we're
get
back to
to this morning.
40
Thanks so much for starting your day with us. I really do appreciate it.
temperatures in the mid
Hit the
80s
like
Saturday.
button if
From
you
the
would.
Storm Center at Kibble
It's real helpful. So, thank you.
The radio station you're listening to now is Callow. Our addresses are AM 1320, FM 105.1, and worldwide at callow.com. The Doctor of Discernment is on the air.
I love the Greg Belfrage Show.
I've been listening to you for years, Greg. Thanks for all you do and keeping us informed.
You sound a little taller on radio.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense, no prescription required.
Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. Americans
My nose is always running.
I don't believe in the no-win scenario.
This is the
Good morning, my friend. The marketplace of ideas is open. It's great to have you along this morning. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show on this Thursday morning. The big story this morning, the judge has released Jack Smith's latest filing in the Trump election interference case. So she released a redacted motion that was filed last week, and it's here we go again. The claims are that Donald Trump resorted to crimes while trying to overturn his 2020 election defeat, and that he should not escape charges. This is what prosecutors are saying. And with this new court filing, then, they're challenging Trump's claim that he should avoid a trial because of the U.S. Supreme Court ruling. So Trump was president when these alleged offenses were committed. Prosecutors say he was acting in a private capacity, not an official one. So that's the way they're going now. Donald Trump was doing these things privately. And Trump, is reacting to this. I want to just share some of Donald Trump's comments on True Social, rather than to read some of the media reports, because they love to share part of the quote, and then without evidence, Trump is without evidence. We are seeing that more and more in media reports now, without evidence. And you notice you'll never see that tactic employed against the Democrats. Isn't that amazing? Donald Trump's the only one without evidence. So let's just go to True Social, and we'll see what Donald Trump says. He said the release of this falsehood-ridden, unconstitutional January 6th brief immediately following Tim Walz's disastrous debate performance 33 days before the most important election in the history of our country is another obvious attempt by the Harris-Biden regime to undermine and weaponize American democracy and interfere in the 2024 presidential election. Deranged Jack Smith, the hand-picked prosecutor of the Harris-Biden DOJ, and the Washington, D.C. based radical left Democrats are hell-bent on continuing to weaponize the Justice Department in an attempt to cling to power. Trump is dominating the election cycle, leading in the polls, and the radical, and he's sharing some of that on True Social, by the way, this morning. The how things are measuring up according to others, not according to him. So there's good reason why he believes he's dominating the election cycle. And he goes on here saying he's leading in the polls, and the radical Democrats throughout the deep state are totally freaking out. This entire case is a partisan, unconstitutional witch hunt that should be dismissed entirely, just like the Florida case was dismissed. And then later, he said, for 60 days prior to an election, the Department of Injustice is supposedly to do absolutely nothing that would taint or interfere with the case. They disobeyed their own rule in favor of complete and total election interference. I did nothing wrong, they did. The case is a scam, just like all of the others, including the documents case, which was dismissed. That's a big story this morning. And we'll talk about that in more detail coming up a little bit later this morning. You can drop me an email, of course, anytime you've got a thought as I'm going through the big news of the day. Drop me an email anytime. Craig.belfrage@kelo.com is my email address. So the president yesterday saying that he opposes Israel striking Iran's nuclear facilities. And this is a story from the Times of Israel. We'll be discussing with the Israelis what they're going to do, but all 7 of us, he's talking about the leaders of the G7 countries, but all 7 of us agree that they have a right to respond, but they should respond proportionally. Obviously, Iran is way off course. Respond proportionally. Can you explain what that means? Rather than, when you engage in war, when you engage in war, there's no proportionate response. You have to fight to win. So when I hear this kind of talk, it always just raises the hair on the back of my neck when I hear it. So this is what the president is saying. So Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had said after the attack that Iran had made a big mistake, would pay the price. It's been crazy what's been going on in Israel the last couple of days. And you've seen the footage. You may have seen this yesterday, the footage of missiles that were, raid over Israel on their just crazy. So the president urged Israel to respond proportionately. And he was asked, does he back a strike on Iran's nuclear sites? He said, the answer is no. And again, there are those, I think it was Israel's former prime minister, who was saying, you got to go into Iran, hit their nuclear sites. And so there's a lot of difference of opinion between the president, I think, and the leadership of Israel at the moment. Also, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is now saying he had his dates wrong during the debate this week. So this was his first campaign stop since the vice presidential debate. And he was asked about his travel to China and Hong Kong in 1989. And he admitted during the debate that he had previously misspoken in 2014 when he said he was in mainland China between April and June 1989. That was the time of the Tiananmen Square protests. Took place between April 15th and June 4th of that year. And so he's saying, no, he wasn't there, but he repeated the misstatement. This is CBS News actually reporting this. So he said, so I was in Hong Kong and China during the democracy protests, went in, and from that I learned a lot of what. So you just, again, he's just repeating the, so now he was responding to this question from CBS News. He corrected himself and admitted he had the dates wrong. And he said he needs to be clear when he speaks. So my clarity to take away from the message is something I want to be very clear. August of 89 into Hong Kong, into China, he said. He also clarified a verbal misstatement from the debate when he said he was friends with school shooters. He said it was, clearly he misspoke, but he said it's pretty damn clear that he stood with school shooting victims. So, as he was saying, I'm friends with school shooters. There was obviously a word missing, and that he was victims. What he meant to say, I'm friends with school shooting victims. He's saying that's what he meant. I can appreciate that, missing out a word, but right during the debate. So he's clarifying those things. I saw this morning at the Post Millennial, and I'm going to tell you right now, this is not one of the most important stories that's out there. It just is not. I'm going to get to more important stories here in a moment. But the Post Millennial has got a piece this morning. Politico praises Tim Walz's wide eyes as passionate and intense, and warns that J.D. Vance's beard is anti-feminist. This is the kind of nonsense coming from politicos these days. Joe Navarro was digging into the body language of the vice presidential candidates, and he says he made the claim Vance's beard matters and that Walz's wide eyes showed his passion. I always his eyes are so wide, it always looks to me like, man, the guy is like on something. Speaks so fast and not typical of people in this part of the world. As evidenced by me, I'm not a fast talker. Like many people in South Dakota and folks in the region, generally Midwesterners. But Walz, wow. Anyway, Navarro claims he said one of the first bits of nonverbal communication to appear in the debate was on J.D. Vance's face, his beard. And he goes on to talk about this, and it can be, he's saying that our appearance is fundamental to our body language. Research indicates that voters see beards as, surprise, surprise, more masculine. That can be positive to some, reading as strength and confidence, but to others, especially women, it can be negative, conveying aggression and opposition to feminist ideals. So if you're a man, you wear a beard, that somehow this is, you're showing your opposition to feminist ideals. And I thought, you know what, maybe I need to grow a full beard. Maybe the goatee is not enough. Maybe it's time for a full beard. Yeah, after seeing that story, it's just, these are crazy times we live in, my friend. Also, let's talk about Hurricane Helene. We have to. It's just we've got the death toll then continuing to climb. More than 180 storm-related deaths have been confirmed. There are those. The search for the missing continues. So thousands of people remain without power or access to clean water 1 week after the hurricane. And the effects of this, I think we understand, are pretty, even if you've not been there. I think we all understand that it's pretty devastating. And the a disaster epidemiologist said access to clean water is one of the most urgent health concerns after a flood. People need water for drinking, preparing food, cleaning, bathing, even flushing toilets. Contact with contaminated water can cause serious illnesses. So, you get flood water, then there may be sewage in the water that's flood water. So it's pretty incredible. It's one of the most extreme weather events I think we have seen in this country for a period of time. So also the search for missing people continues. CNN's got a story on this morning, talking about what's happened, and folks, sharing their stories. Pretty incredible. So Helene unfurled a nightmare across Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas. Folks saying, debris resting everywhere, homes tilted off their foundations, cars in the muddy water of swollen creeks. Again, the number of dead, where it said that number is still climbing, and the search is going on by families looking for others. So there are still a number of people then that are missing, as families trying to get out there and searching for them in the midst of all of that destruction. It's pretty incredible. Also, the mayor of New York City appeared in federal court for his corruption case yesterday. Eric Adams could be facing more charges in his federal corruption case, prosecutors said yesterday. And this is the prosecutor for the U.S. Attorney's Office said it's possible prosecutors would file a superseding indictment in the case. The mayor's private attorney requested the trial conclude in March, 3 months before Adams is set to appear on a ballot for re-election, and he is not, he is saying that he is not resigning. He is still planning to run for re-election. And so Adams' lawyer said the prosecution is desperately now saying they could bring a new case because they are suddenly facing dismissal of their actual flawed case and sanctions for misconduct. This is the sort of nonsense that prosecutors say when they don't have a real case. If they had a real case, they would have brought it. Also, and we'll talk about this in more detail coming up this morning, you've got parents who are suing a school district over the issue of their silent protest of the transgender sports policy at games. We talked about this recently. These are parents who silently protested transgender, males participating in girls' sports, and they protested by wearing pink wristbands. These are just like sweatbands, pink, and with the letters XX embroidered on them, which is a reference to female chromosomes, that women have XX chromosomes, whereas males are XY. And so they were just silently protesting by wearing these wristbands. And so they are now suing the New Hampshire school district officials, even a soccer referee, claiming they were retaliated against their free speech by wearing their wristbands. And this, as again, we've talked about this previously, I think it's an incredibly important story. And it really speaks to what you see happening. You can't wear a wristband. So now they're seeking, which to me is just absolutely crazy. And I even said, as we talked about this recently, a wristband, how is that any different from a t-shirt and or what have you that you may be wearing? So Kyle Fellers, as well as several others, then seeking an injunction against this district policy and the athletic handbook as applied to their wristbands, because they said any non-disruptive expression of political or social views based on audience reaction or a heckler's veto and against no trespass orders. This is what they're protesting against. So this is, there's a great piece on this morning at justthenews.com. And we'll talk about that in more detail. And they also, this story also gets into Riley Gaines a little bit. They say advocates for female-only sports got more good news last week when a federal judge issued an injunction stopping the University of New Mexico from enforcing a security fee policy on the basis of viewpoints of the hosts. And this was an event then featuring Riley Gaines, who has been speaking now nearly a year ago about competing against transgender record breaker Leah Thomas, and the amount of money then that they were demanding. So it's pretty incredible what you see, and we'll talk about it in more detail coming up. But that's a look at the big stories this morning. Thanks so much for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. This hour brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month. Currently clear at $48. You're listening to the Greg Belfrage Show on Kello.
Weeknights 5 to 8. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is brought to you by Tires. In-store details about how to get rebates from major tire manufacturers. 2 Sioux Falls locations to serve you.
Bring charm from the outdoors into your home with Renewal by Andersen picture and combination windows. Optimizing a beautiful view and light in the bedroom, kitchen, or living room from ABC Seamless of Sioux Falls. Call 605-646-2667 today. That's ABC Seamless.
The Sioux Falls Housing and Redevelopment Commission and their nonprofit partner, Affordable Housing Solutions, are empowering people, building futures. They connect you with safe, affordable housing programs, work with community partners to improve living situations, and develop housing options in our communities.
If you're a business owner, or if you know a business owner, this message is for you. At Bank Midwest, we understand that your company's operating account is one of your most important financial tools. That's why we've added free fraud protection services to our basic business and business checking. And we'll even give you a cash bonus to open your account. Does your company have the benefit of an operating account this good?
I talked too long of that last
more for your money at Bank Midwest.
segment.
Member FDIC.
Got to juggle things around here so I don't trip myself up too badly.
High temperature at 70.
Everything's about timing during this show in the morning. I'm always keeping an eye on what's going on with time. Always in a race against the clock. And in Sioux Falls at 6:29, clear skies and 48 currently at Kello. Joe Bowman is in the Kello.com News Center. Coming up here in just a few moments, South Dakota lawmakers are working protecting children from harmful online material. Joe will have details. Also, a man from Lennox has died from injuries sustained in a September 19th crash in McCook County. So Joe will have details on those stories and more coming up for you here in just a few moments. Also coming up this morning, I'll have a chance for you to win a $10 gift card from 49th Street Liquor. We'll give that away coming up a little bit later this morning, so just keep listening for your chance to win here at Kello.
Fox News, I'm Gianna Pelosi. President Biden will visit Florida and Georgia today, following a day in the Carolinas where he tried to reassure hurricane victims that the federal government will help them rebuild.
In a moment like this, we put politics aside. At least we should put it all aside. We have here. There are no Democrats or Republicans, only Americans. And our job is to help as many people as we can, as quickly as we can, and as thoroughly as we can.
The storm is now blamed for more than 190 deaths, but there are still people unaccounted for. Former President Trump
All right.
to get new details about special counsel Jack Smith's election interference case against him.
Smith argues that the former
This first hour is always a race.
The 2020 election were,
I'm moving pretty quickly throughout the morning, but it feels like it. Maybe I'm not. But it feels like I am. I'm trying to.
Reporting, America's listening to Fox News.
News brought to you by Sioux Falls Implant and Sedation Dentistry. They fix your teeth while you sleep.
Kello News Time, 6:31. I'm Joe Bowman in the Kello.com News Center. South Dakota lawmakers are working to protect children from harmful online material. Nicole Lopez, Meta's Safety Policy Director of Youth, spoke at a hearing in Pierre yesterday. She says Meta supports South Dakota's efforts and has concerns about parents turning their children loose on mobile devices as they try to download apps.
Our hope is that parents are not lying about their teen's age because they don't want their teen to be accessing age-inappropriate content for over 18-year-olds.
Lopez says when Meta finds evidence that a child is younger than the information uploaded to the app stores, they recategorize the user to the appropriate age group. A man from Lenox has died from injuries sustained in a September 19th crash in McCook County. The crash involved a driver of an SUV and a pickup truck colliding near an intersection of 451st Avenue. The 61-year-old driver of the pickup was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries and later died on Tuesday. Sioux Falls is jumping on board a proposed new project to deliver Missouri River water to a large area of eastern South Dakota and surrounding states. Sioux Falls City Council unanimously passed a resolution of support for the Dakota Main Stem Regional Water System. Ryan Johnson, a water department engineer and president of Dakota Main Stem, told councilors it's important to plan for the future.
The project will probably take many years, if not decades, to complete, and so the goal is to really start planning now to secure water for our future.
Sioux Falls is also a member of the Lewis and Clark Regional Water System, which began work on delivering water to the region over 30 years ago. Over 50 local communities, tribes, and water districts have signed on to the Dakota Main Stem project. And in sports, SDSU's women's volleyball will take on Kansas City at the First Bank and Trust Arena in Brookings tonight. It's the first scheduled event in the brand new facility, replacing the former home of many SDSU athletics events at the Frost Arena. The Jackrabbits are 13-0 heading into tonight's match. From the Kello.com News Center, I'm Joe Bowman.
The news never stops. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
Partly sunny skies today for the Sioux Falls area. Our high temperature at 70 with a northeast wind at 15 to 25. Forecast tonight, low temperature around 40 with a light north wind, mainly clear. And then tomorrow, we're back to mostly sunny skies and high temperature at 74 degrees. Temperatures in the mid-80s Saturday. From the Storm Center at KEVOLAND TV, I'm Brian Karstens.
Having trouble receiving Kello at 107.9? If you're in the Sioux Falls Metro, try us at FM 105.1. Kello News Talk 1320 and now at 105.1.
Did you have cell phone service this past Monday, September 30th? Tens of millions of Verizon customers didn't, and no one wants to tell us why. I'm Kim Commando for SimpliSafe. Visit simplysafekim.com to save 50% on a new system. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. Verizon is radio silent. Monday's massive cellular outage sends a dangerous signal to America and the world. Why is what happened so bad that absolutely no one will talk about it? Even worse, Verizon claims that customers only in the Chicago area were affected, and that is false. LA, San Francisco, and most of California was hit. So was Phoenix, Denver, St. Louis, Atlanta, New York, New Jersey, and even DC. A major communication outage, and everyone, government, media, and in this case, Verizon itself, has gone quiet. And you can bet that something very embarrassing went down. Perhaps it was even a national security threat. I don't know, but I do know that people are asking. So why isn't Verizon and Homeland Security talking? Get my free newsletter at getkim.com. When it comes to protecting your home and family, it's always better to stop trouble before it even has a chance to start. That's why Simply Safe is changing the game with their new Active Guard outdoor protection. It offers a double layer of defense, cutting-edge AI, plus real-time monitoring by Simply Safe's live security agents to keep intruders out and prevent crime before it happens. If someone suspicious steps onto your property, Simply Safe agents are on it immediately. They'll see and talk to the intruder.
I'll be right back with
set
you.
off sirens and flash spotlights to scare them away, and even call the police if needed to get you help fast. Other systems only react after a break-in. Simply Safe combines live monitoring and proactive protection both outside and inside your home. And right now, you can save 50% on a new Simply Safe system with a select professional monitoring plan. Visit simplysafekim.com to grab your 50% off today. That's simplysafekim.com. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
The Kim Commando Show, live Saturday mornings at 9. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is brought to you by Tires. Your Give You More tire and automotive store. Financing programs available. 2 Sioux Falls locations to serve you.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down. Get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pegol is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Are you a creative thinker with a passion for radio? We're looking for a part-time producer to join the Greg Belfrage Show team. I'll rely on you to screen phone calls and help you get the best out of our callers. Candidates need some digital skills. This is a 25-hour-a-week part-time position. Send your resume to jobs@mwcradio.com or mail it to KELO AM, 500 South Phillips Avenue, Sioux Falls, South Dakota 57104. Midwest Communications is an equal opportunity employer by choice. Are you looking for independent senior living with a friendly, home-like feel? I've got just the place. It's Washington Crossing, Sioux Falls' premier independent senior living community. They're locally owned and operated, and Washington Crossing takes a lot of pride. They offer clean, comfortable retirement living. You're going to love the apartments there. They're spacious. You're surrounded by a welcoming atmosphere and a terrific staff at Washington Crossing. They really care about the folks who make Washington Crossing their home. So you can enjoy the freedom to live life your way. A wide range of activities, friendly neighbors, and you'll have a lot of peace of mind knowing that you're part of a supportive, growing community. So learn more about Washington Crossing today. They've also got an assisted living option. And what it does, for folks as they age, if they need additional services, maybe they need a little bit of help with medication, housekeeping, daily activities, whatever it may be. Washington Crossing has services designed that you can add as you go. They are there to help. So schedule your free private tour today and find out why so many folks are choosing Washington Crossing. Call them 605-271-9273. That's 605-271-9273. Washington Crossing, premier independent living at a great value.
Okay, some mornings you might not have that get up and go.
Ooh, but at least you can get up and know.
The Greg Belfrage Show, with insightful opinions on the latest stories and frequent weather updates. It'll get you in.
20 minutes before 7. Good morning and welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. It's great to have you here again this morning. Maybe it's your first time listening to the Greg Belfrage Show. It is wonderful to have you along. This hour of our show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
What's trending now?
Add them on Facebook.
Let the tweeting begin. The hashtag does that. News and views from Belf's News Gallery.
Well, the president and vice president both headed to the southeast yesterday, surveying damage wrought by Hurricane Helene, which is, and again, now keep in mind these numbers are dated 182 people at the time that this story was published. So the president said on Tuesday that the cost of the storm could stretch into the billions of dollars. He said, we have to jumpstart this recovery process. People are scared to death. This is urgent. So he's going to, he and the vice president in North Carolina, and he said, I'm here to say the United States, the nation has your back. They're not leaving until you're back on your feet completely, the president said. So before leaving the White House for the visit, the president had directed up to 1,000 active duty troops to support the North Carolina National Guard. And he said these soldiers will speed up the delivery of life-saving supplies of food, water, and medicine to isolated communities in North Carolina. They have the manpower and logistical capabilities to get this vital job done and fast. They will join hundreds of North Carolina National Guard members deployed under state authorities in support of the response. So the president also visiting communities in Georgia and Florida today, according to the White House. And then Kamala Harris is there as well. That is talking about propping. I have a hard time propping her up by taking her along as if she's doing something, right? Also, this is a big story. The 8 Israeli soldiers were killed in Lebanon. And this is in the ongoing ground operation against Hezbollah in Lebanon. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said yesterday that his country is in the middle of a tough war against Iran's axis of evil. And he said in a video message, I would like to send my deepest condolences to the families of our heroes who fell today in Lebanon. May God avenge their death. May their memory be a blessing. He said, we're in the middle of a tough war against Iran's axis of evil, which seeks to destroy us. This will not happen because we will stand together, and with God's help, we will win together. We will return our hostages in the south. We will return our residents in the north. We will guarantee the eternity of Israel, he said. Also trending this morning, Donald Trump. Jack Smith is saying Donald Trump resorted to crimes after he lost the 2020 election. It's what federal prosecutors are saying in a court filing, which was unsealed yesterday. So the purpose of the brief is to convince the judge that the offenses charged in the indictment are private rather than official acts, and therefore they can remain part of the indictment as the case moves forward. So these were private acts now, rather than presidential acts, which the U.S. Supreme Court had thrown that out or actually sent it back to the state, and so this nonsense goes on. Donald Trump is trending this morning in his reaction to Governor Tim Walz and the debate against J.D. Vance this week. Trump talked to Fox News yesterday, and he said J.D. was fantastic last night. It just reconfirmed my choice. There was a brilliance to what he did. Trump said, on the other hand, Tim Walz proved to be a man that doesn't have it in any way, shape, or form for the office that he is seeking, though I would put him a large number of steps above Kamala, Trump said. Also, Donald Trump and his team continue then apparently this story. For those of you who watch the fourth hour of the Greg Belfrage show, I mentioned this yesterday about 60 Minutes, that 60 Minutes is saying CBS News released a statement. And they said for over a half a century, 60 Minutes has invited the Democratic and Republican tickets to appear on our broadcast as Americans head to the polls. Our election special will broadcast the Harris interview on Monday as planned. Our original invitation to former President Donald Trump to be interviewed on 60 Minutes stands. Now, Trump is turning it down. They're saying initially he had accepted. Now he's turning it down. And the Trump team saying, no, that was never the case. Yeah, we were having conversations. Yeah, we were interested. We were having conversations, but we never agreed. We never agreed that he was going to appear on 60 Minutes. And I just think that don't you think that whole 60 Minutes, I just think 60 Minutes is irrelevant now anyway. But that's my personal opinion. These presidential interviews done by 60 Minutes, how important are those to you? Seriously. Do you think it's important that Donald Trump appear on that? I think that's a question worth asking. So Donald Trump is also, I have shared this with you. Trump saying he would veto a national abortion ban. And I said, I want to read what he posted on True Social. I think I shared this on the air yesterday. That Trump had said on True Social, everyone knows I would not support a federal abortion ban under any circumstances and would in fact veto it because it's up to the states to decide based on the will of their voters, the will of the people, he said. Like Ronald Reagan before me, I fully support the 3 exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I do not support the Democrats' radical position of late-term abortion, he said, and he goes on. So he's saying he would veto a national abortion ban were one to pass. And he, I think folks have been trying to pin him down on that previously, and that's the most definitive we have heard from Donald Trump when it comes to this. So he was saying that on True Social this week. Also, as we talk about the vice presidential debate this week, one of the stories that's trending is J.D. Vance talking about the fact he believes censorship is the greatest threat to democracy. And he said, this was during the debate this week, I believe that we actually do have a threat to democracy in this country, but unfortunately, it's not the threat to democracy that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz want to talk about. It's the threat of censorship. It's Americans casting lifelong friends aside because of disagreements over politics. It's big technology companies silencing their fellow citizens. And he said that instead of wanting to debate issues, Harris supports suppression and censorship, and to him, that's a major issue. He said rather than debate and persuade her fellow Americans, she'd like to censor people who engage in misinformation. I think that is a much bigger threat to democracy than anything that we've seen in this country in the last 4 years. Also trending this morning, Kamala Harris' husband, Doug Emhoff, there are reports that he forcefully slapped a former girlfriend for flirting with another man. And this was at a star-studded gala that he was at. And so now Daily Mail is reporting on this, that 3 friends have told the Daily Mail that Doug Emhoff assaulted his former girlfriend. So he struck the woman in the face so hard, she spun around while waiting in a valet line at the Cannes Film Festival. It was an event in France where that took place. Also, additional charges against New York City Mayor Eric Adams are possible, prosecutors say. Federal prosecutors saying they have evidence that Adams attempted to tamper with a witness in the investigation. And so FBI agents approached one witness, and the person was given a clear message from the defendant that this person should not tell the truth to the FBI. That's what's being alleged. Also, one of 2 California doctors who were among the 5 people charged in the overdose death of Matthew Perry pled guilty yesterday to illegally distributing the drug ketamine. So Dr. Mark Chavez of San Diego entered the plea during an appearance in U.S. District Court in Los Angeles. He could face up to 10 years in prison when he is sentenced in April. Also, Buffalo Bills linebacker Von Miller has been handed a 4-game suspension without pay for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy. The league announced this earlier this week. So Von Miller will be eligible for reinstatement on October 28th, following the Bills' Week 8 game against the Seattle Seahawks. So the league did not elaborate on the reason for the suspension, but it's believed that it's due to an alleged domestic dispute in Texas last year, and there are arrest warrants and so on. So it may be involving that. Also, a TikTok star who goes by the name Mr. Prada 456 on TikTok was booked into jail on charges of unauthorized use of a vehicle, aggravated criminal damage to property, resisting arrest. So he's got this TikTok star has about nearly 4 million followers online. And he's been arrested in connection with the case of a Louisiana therapist whose body was found wrapped in a tarp on the side of the road. So an arrest warrant was obtained for him. Police claimed he was found driving the victim's vehicle and tried to flee. Also, a new study says that Mount Everest is actually 15 to 50 meters taller than it would be otherwise, thanks to erosion from a river. So it's Mount Everest is gaining height because a river below is eroding rock and soil at its base and helping push Mount Everest upward. And I've seen this story the last few days. So a lot of a landmass is being moved, and the author of a study said it's a bit like throwing a load of cargo off a ship. The ship becomes lighter and so floats a little higher. Similarly, when the crust becomes lighter, it can float a little higher. Also, there's a story about the wreck of the ghost ship of the Pacific. It's been found on the California ocean bed nearly 80 years after its historic role in World War II. So it was found like 3,500 feet beneath the surface of the water, the wreck of the ghost ship of the Pacific, and found through robotic sonar technology after 82 years. So it was identified to be the only U.S. Navy destroyer that had been captured by Japanese forces during World War II. And it was known as DD-224 or USS Stewart. So another set of drones managed to capture images of the wreck days later, finding it sitting upright and almost perfectly intact. And that's a look at the stories trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery. Thanks so much for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. This hour brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Information and entertainment.
I want to thank you so much for letting me join you. If you would, please hit the like button. And I hope to see you back at 9:30 this morning for the 4th hour of the Greg Belfrage Show. So I'll bid you farewell until then.
From combines to